Hollywood royalty.
I was always told, I'm smiling because there's like eight of six, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I always was told, and that's fine with me. You get up and act in the theater if there's one person there. You do not do the work. You know, whatever. There's somebody that's going to gain something or not, but it's what you do.
So who was here yesterday for Diane? For Diane. So we got some new people the other day. Okay, that's good.
Yay! Bravo!
So, and you know, I was telling Diane, Rodney was the moderator yesterday, and I said, hey, did you cover everything? What did you cover? He said, oh, almost everything. I was like, I'm kidding. I
did panic there for a second and realize that, yeah, we covered quite a bit.
No, so, but
I did cover, but I took off on you. I kind of riffed.
Yeah. It was one of the easiest jobs I've ever had. Ask a single question, and look at the watch.
Can I tell you a story?
oh, please.
Randall Kreiser, who directed Grease, is my oldest, but we've known each other about 60-some years. And I was in Marcus Welby, his first show that he directed out of UIC Cinema School. And I'll never forget, he's my neighbor. He came to my home, loved where I lived, and he wanted to find something nearby. And he moved over on the hill, so I can see his outside. But we've stayed friends, and then I was invited to receive a Lifetime Achievement at Sonoma Film Festival. No, the one in Arizona.
Sonora.
Sonora?
Yeah,
Yes.
Sonoma,
Yes.
Sonora. Okay, that's Northern California.
Right.
So I accepted it. He was there a year before, so he arranged the whole thing. He not only came over and picked all the bits from every film, he went through all the history, grabbed them onto a external hard drive, got his assistant who works in Spain to do work at night. And they put together this huge piece on this new program that shows on a big screen. He took me down there, arranged, we got the flights, we were taken care of, given rooms next to each other. So, we're on the stage, and I made a commitment. He said, Diane, I'll ask you the questions and interview you. And so we started talking. I talked so much, Randall looked at me and I said, let's have a secret. Let's have a secret look or something. You say to me, enough. It's over, finished. And I'd say, give me a long look, just look like that. And so he did that, and I paid no attention. And finally, he said, Diane, we have to find some solution to this.
Probably the audience was probably thinking, why is he staring at her so for so
Why is he
long?
Why is he giving her this
Why
death
did he
glare?
take me like this?
So,
So we had the secret. So now I'm fully aware, and I talked to myself last night, and I said, stop. Just stop when there's a point.
Oh, no.
You've answered the question, don't go on.
I've heard nothing but great.
So,
No.
Sir, you were kind enough yesterday when I asked you about this. I heard it goes on YouTube. Is that correct?
Oh!
Wow. Johnny on the spot.
I would love to get my hands on it and cut it to shreds.
Oh.
No.
I would spend a night with an editor in my home, and I would cut it the minute I get home.
Oh.
And get the horrible, long bits out of there.
Why? It was awesome.
I like it.
Because
We enjoy it.
in the world, the people in YouTube, audiences are going,
Oh.
I definitely will.
I did my homework. I was watching some of your.
"What, how awful.
No, they were fine. They were wonderful. It was great. Some of the stuff that's on YouTube.
It's on YouTube already?
Other ones, previous ones.
Oh,
Previous Q&As.
But the Sonoma Film Festival, they let me take it off the air
Oh,
And I got home.
Really?
And I had the editor come and we sat and said, clip, clip, clip,
Type it out.
clip, clip.
I would love to see that compilation.
No, and they accepted it, and they let me send it back.
Ah.
And they then put it back on the air, on their website.
Huh.
So I was able to do that. I don't know if Mr. Anthony Taylor would let me do that.
So, well, he
He's
can probably.
shaking his
Yeah,
head.
no, he's not here.
Huh?
We can do it all behind his back. No worries.
Yeah.
I could take it off the air
So,
and cut it and make it a little edit. I wouldn't do much, I just clean it up.
so,
I
No,
tell
no,
you,
you,
nobody is gonna.
all that back and forth yesterday, I admit at one point to ask you about the 300 Spartans, and I zipped right past it because I wanted to go ahead and get the straight
But
jacket.
you know, it's so disrespectful also.
Oh, why?
Because you ask a question and one just go on, and then you want to get your word in to ask another question.
No,
And
that's
I'm
the
like,
point. You eventually got the 300 Spartans on your own because you had that
Yeah,
story
but it's
about the
not a
producer.
one-woman show here.
Yes, it is.
Two of them.
Yes, it is.
I had another
Exactly what
question,
it
but I
is.
forgot what it was.
The best discussions are organic anyway. They have-
Organic, that's the word that Mark Robeson
Uh,
used on the set that I couldn't try to remember yesterday.
Oh.
Remember, he used the
Okay, now,
word.
if you need
I
to
said it
edit,
was
we can
organic.
edit that word. Edit into the video.
Organic.
I had a couple other questions, but
we can, go ahead.
Aaron has a couple of.
This is part two
I think you
with
can keep up
Diane.
with me.
But,
I think you and I, you can talk as long as I talk.
you want to bet? I bet I could.
What was your
What is
question?
bet? Oh, yes, yes. What was I going to say? Many roles you were in, like Route 66 or Della, it required the other actors and actresses to be physical with you. How do you mentally prepare yourself? Like, for example, in Della, like Joan Crawford gave you the 1-2 backhand slap, and in Route 66, there was one scene where I think your father in that show was
Ron
caught
Chaney
catching
Jr.
you flirting with another man, and then he took you and just like gave you a slap on the behind. Well, like I said, I watched a couple of this stuff beforehand. How do you prepare yourself to get physical with other actors and actresses if the scene or director demands you to? And did it ever hurt?
You play it, you just be in the moment, as Meisner said, Sanford Meisner, the great teacher, live in the moment and take each thing and just play it as if it was real, except you can't go on being slapped in rehearsal over and over and over. So I did with Crawford, I asked her quietly and very politely, are you going to actually hit me in this rehearsal? And she said, I would never, I wouldn't do that. So I said, thank you, I just need to know. So I'm preparing myself for this big slap that's coming. And you just don't keep doing it in rehearsal, because, I would be probably, unable to play the.
Well, that would be a makeup problem as
Yeah,
well.
having a bruise
And
before the fact
bruises
doesn't
and
matter.
maybe a swollen jaw or something, I don't, but you just go with the flow and you prepare. And you ask the actors, you work it out so that each one respects the other and you don't hurt the other people. And usually you have someone that helps you, if it's serious, a big moment, to guide you and help you be there. Or as I slid down the ladder, they have an extra or a stunt person to do the hard work.
a journey to center of the earth.
And then you end up being at the bottom of the ladder and you smile and you just come in.
Like this.
So what was your other, you said you had two questions? You had another one?
It'll probably come back to me a little bit.
Okay, no problem.
And it definitely will come back to you. I know it.
I had told Anthony,
You got to remember.
I'll give you a look when it comes back.
speaking of Anthony, I had mentioned, I go, Diane's going to be here. Because I've been a fan of yours since I was a kid. Just fit. And so I was in the store one day and I came across this. Do you remember this at all? It's a Pat Boone comic with her picture on the cover.
Why?
Do you remember?
Sure, I know Pat Boone. We were invited to the USA Dallas, together with Arlene and her husband and me and Pat. We sat and watched the whole movie again together.
Well, what's interesting, Diane,
And
is
he was funny. He kept whispering to me the whole movie, saying, and that set we were
Let's sing,
fighting
let's
that
sing.
day. I was not feeling well that day. And I said, Pat, let's watch the movie.
so, in this issue, you don't have to be an astronomer to know a star when you see one. Diane Baker. There's a profile of you in here.
Really? Oh, I don't think I've ever seen
I
that.
hope, do you have a good sense of humor?
Of course.
She does, trust me.
Because
She does it.
it starts out here. I'm going to read a few paragraphs if you don't mind. I think you'll find this amusing. Diane Baker is potentially the brilliant, magnetic star Hollywood's been searching for since Norma Shearer and Greta Garbo.
That's here. That's it.
No, it's good. Well, you'll
It
see.
gets worse.
She projects
No,
such.
I'm not kidding.
She projects such warmth, sensitivity, and strength that men and women of all ages feel drawn to her. She is unique. That's all good. That's cool. That's great.
And then
Yes.
it starts.
Diane, here we go. I was shocked. I looked at this again this morning. I was like, oh my God. Diane is not pretty.
What?
There is too much character in her face for that.
Yes.
Is she beautiful? That depends on who is looking at her. Who is writing this?
Yeah.
She stands a slender 5 feet 6 inches, watches everything around her with hazel eyes that are so long they seem to sweep around to the side of her hair. Oh, yeah, okay, whatever that means. And has full dark brown hair. She seldom wears makeup of any kind.
Ooh.
So, what do you
Of
think
any
of that?
kind, even like Monsterama.
So I was just there's some interesting things to ask you about in this thing. It's like you went to Van Nuys High School. According to this, she also occupied the same desk that Marilyn Monroe had, and even used some of Marilyn's former textbooks.
No, I don't know anything about her textbooks, but I was in Van Nuys High School and Natalie had been there. And Robert Redford and I became great friends before he was Robert Redford.
Oh.
And he was a classmate, and we double dated, and I've known him to this day, except he's in seclusion now, basically. And I know Jamie, before he died, his son, to the school a lot to talk about documentaries. And this call emanated from Van Nuys High School. There were a lot of people at Van Nuys that were students.
But this is a shining example of that
But
publicity. The publicity.
You know, it's interesting. Is it a name that wrote it?
There's no name here, not mentioned at all.
Yeah, well, stalkers don't want.
I don't think they're gonna. I would be so embarrassed. I mean, boy, that job. But yeah, but it's a nice little profile.
Oh, that is nice.
Artwork's
Oh.
nice. So, but I just could you
But
believe that?
I'm glad they put a
Oh.
picture from the Diary of Anne Frank.
Yeah. Yes.
That's
So
nice.
a little bit of credits here, and I mean, and it does. I mean, I think he was trying to be clever, or
Well,
she,
he
or
was
he.
being clever,
Yeah. So
whoever it was.
trying to come up with that, but I just couldn't believe that. I was like, wow. That's says the turning point in Diane's young life came when she spent a summer at Alsamar,
Asilomar,
is
near
it?
Camp Carmel, and
the YMWCA camp near Monterey,
I
California.
was asked to come from my class. I was picked to go.
Girls from all over the free world attended
Wonderful
the camp.
experience.
Yeah, and Diane began to dream of closer ties between people of different nationalities.
That's all true.
Yeah. The prayers that were spoken at chapel service each morning intensified her feelings for togetherness with the other girls.
You want to know, this is so interesting that someone recognized that.
That's good.
It was
Yeah.
an experience that helped me as a young girl feel comfortable around the world, all the places I went. My trip to India, I went back many times. I was invited to.
Was the first time to India was with the film?
With the 9 Hours to Rome.
No, yes.
And being there in the streets with all the people, watching the crowds think it was Mahatma Gandhi that was coming down the
Yeah.
street, and people were crying and screaming. And I just remember feeling so connected that I I've been back, I have friends there that are now in their 90s. And one of my dear friends was teaching, came from there and taught filmmaking in Sacramento, and he was helping me on a film, The Sun. And nothing bothered me about meeting new people. I just felt that I left the set and I was in my hotel room. The bearer, who was the servant, came and one day invited me to meet his wife in a hovel, and I promised I'd meet him downstairs. He took me, we walked over pools of can't even tell you, in a village. He took me to meet, I took him to the Russian exhibition, happened to be there, where one of the stands was how a baby is, for somebody who doesn't know how a baby is born, the process. They had it at this exhibition. So this boy, he was so frightened. His wife was pregnant and he was terrified, and she was like 14 years old and thin and tiny.
Hmm.
And they were frightened.
Yeah.
And so I took them both through this piece, and so that she could learn and see, so that she would be less frightened. But when I went to this little room they lived in, and we crossed over the excrement and the water, and they served tea, and there was a room the size of this little corner, like this. And she had photographs of all the movie magazines pinned to the walls. 8 people lived in this room.
Wow.
And she was one, and he couldn't live in the room with her. He worked at the hotel as a bearer, and his life was earning. And he brought her all of these things from people's guests. So he made friends with me, and I was overwhelmed at the way of life and never experienced it. And I came home and thought every child in America should be taken to a country that's so different from their own, so they get an understanding that we are not the only people on earth, that we are an amalgamation of all of these people in the world. They're much older than we are. They're centuries old, and we are a new nation.
So I guess.
That's the answer. See,
Yeah, but,
that's what happened.
well, no, it's not that camp helped, that kind of prep work.
More helped me.
Yeah, so, no, that's.
And it was because, and to this day, I'm still searching. As a child, I wanted to know what religion. My parents said you go to church on Sunday, to Christian Science Church. My aunt became part of the mother church in Boston. And I decided I felt it wasn't as conducive to religion.
Right.
I felt I was in a room with books, but not in a church. So I went in search of my own church.
On your own?
On my own. I was like 7 or 8 years old.
Wow.
And I decided that I was going to try all the churches in the neighborhood, and Methodist, and I would go to this. All
Did you go to
of them
Southern
to
Baptist?
see.
'Cause that was
And then one of the boys in my school asked me to come to his getting, he had to have water poured over him in a huge thing, and I had that experience in baptism.
Baptism, yes.
So I kind of began then the Zen Buddhism, and then Ephraim Zimbalist Jr., after an FBI show, said to me, Diane, at the Wilshire Ebell on Wilshire is Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. And I go when he's here. Would you come? I would take you and introduce you. I said, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi? Yes. So I went and met the man. I saw the audience. I saw other actors.
This is the one with the Beatles, famous
The Beatles, the Maharishi, sitting there with his little, wonderful little frame, with his long hair, and he giggled. He giggled.
Yeah.
He was so peaceful, so happy, so giggling.
She had a question.
Oh, no, I was just thinking about what the article said what they've been looking for since Greta Garbo and Norma Shearer. And what I think is, what caught my attention was, yes, those actresses were great. But do they have a filmography to rival yours? Considering just how much, your career has gone on, has had longevity. They just did a few films and stopped. So I would say that puts you above them.
I didn't even go there, to tell you the truth. I studied with Salka Virtel, who was Garbo's teacher, to learn to speak. And I drove over to Westwood, and she had a small apartment. Her husband was Bertolt Virtel, and they were from Austria or
So you got to meet her, she was still in California.
Salka? Yeah. she
Oh, I thought you meant Greg.
No, I never met Garbo.
Okay, sorry.
But I'll
Nobody
tell you,
has.
Salka taught her and
Yeah.
worked with her and taught her to speak when the talkies. And she had stories and she had food there, and when I finished my lesson, I was at Fox. And I wasn't thrilled with her teaching, actually. No, because she had me say the words in a sentence the way she thought they should be said. I come from more of the method. Stella Adler, Meisner, more natural. And you have to understand the meaning of the scene, and you have to know what the story is, and then you play the moments, real. And so, be in the moment. So I had to pull away. I stopped working, but she had stories to tell me about Garbo. And Garbo was like a grown child in her mind. She was like a kid, a child, who was emotionally needy and needed, being told that she was going to be good and okay. And then Melvin Douglas, who was my mentor, as you heard yesterday. I grew up with Melvin and Helen, and they were just the best in the world. And Melvin I said, Melvin, who was your favorite actress you worked with of all the years you worked with? And I thought, he worked with every actress. He looked at me and he said, Diane, it was Garbo in Nanachka. And I said, isn't it interesting? He said she was the most intelligent of all the actresses I worked with. So I have to say.
Yeah, two different viewpoints of it you come in to.
Yeah, he said she was afraid and shy, but she was smart. She understood.
Well, that was actually, that film is, I think, the top 3 films that she ever did. That's, if not the best, then it's certainly in the top 3.
But you know, Kevin Brownlow, whom I'm going to interview in London this month.
Oh, wow.
I'm flying there. I have to go and do it because I raised funds for him to be brought to New York 3 years ago to film for him, and the money has not been used. And I called Bruce Goldstein, who runs the theater, to film for him.
Yeah.
And I said, Bruce, he said, I'm guilty. I feel awful. He called me and he said, I've set the 2 weeks of Brownlow's work for this October, November. And I said, geez, that's when I'm taking my sister to London because she just lost her husband after 63 years and she needs a break. And so I said, Bruce, I'm going to London. He said, Kevin can't make the trip. He's too ill. Would you interview him for us? And since you were the one I was going to have interview him here. And so I said, of course. He said, I'll call the British Film Institute, immediately have them set up the camera, and we'll arrange to get Kevin. So I have to do that, and I'm reading That Happened Here, which is the great film he made when he was a teenager. And someone saw it. Who was it just saw it that I spoke to 2 days ago? Yes.
Are they here?
No. And it was very interesting in that it all comes together. I mean, here I am. He did all the silent restoration, found them
He's
of the silent film.
the go-to guy for some.
Gilbert. He's the go-to.
Yeah, for some.
Saving. And he had me in tears one night at the silent film theater when he said how many films he was saving and how he showed them on the screen, and we saw these silent films. And he treated every movie like a baby, like it was a child, his own. And at the end of it, I went up and said, Kevin, you're treating these films as if they were your children. He said, do you know what Universal did? They burned them up. They just threw them out. And I said,
Yeah, there's still missing films out there we're dying to find, and Brownlow's got some to cinema, because
He's wonderful.
that multi-part series of the silent films, and then I love his Buster Keaton one and his Charlie Chaplin one.
Well, you see, I haven't seen all these, so
Yeah,
I
they're
can't
wonderful.
wait to be in New York to watch them.
Oh, great.
Because there's 2
Hollywood,
weeks.
I think Hollywood, that is on YouTube.
Yeah, I think you might find
These
the
episodes.
multi-part
Probably
one.
the Hollywood.
Yes,
That reminds me about the burnt films. I had a couple, this remembered it. One, you remember when you were on ABC, you remember when you were on ABC with a sitcom with Larry Hagman called Here We Go Again? I'm trying to find it, but
You
I,
can't find it. I tried to get it too. I have 3 copies on 16 mil of the show that they gave me while I was filming.
Should have had your brain work.
could I,
2 of them, actually.
is there a way I could?
But
is there-
I'm trying to find a Diane Freeze, who was the daughter of Freeze, what was his name? He was the producer of the series. And also the estate. Why that 13 episode series? It was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun to do. It was fun, it was humorous, and it had a meaning. And I love Nita Talbot and Dick Gautier and Larry Hagman.
But no one can see
They
it.
were wonderful.
I was gonna ask if you had a couple copies around. If so, could I buy one from you?
I wish I had anything like a DVD. I might have to have them
You
transferred.
never know.
Somebody, somehow, somewhere.
But I'm going to work on it because I know somebody who knows that family. And I'm going to see if someone is alive that would let
Yeah, I
us
think
have
there's
it.
a lot of people that would like to see it.
Huh?
There's a lot of people that would like to see it.
I do.
I would like to see it just for fun.
I do.
I watched some of them when they were on
Yeah.
back then, but
Yeah.
I remember a little bit of it, but not like the episodes and stuff, so I would like to see it
But
again.
there's 2 customers right there.
That was Charles Freeze and her name.
Charles Chuck Freeze. Thank you.
Oh.
Chuck Freeze, I know he passed on, I think his wife also passed on. And Diane Freeze worked with me on I produced an after-school special for AFI actually, years ago. And Diane was asked if she could work on it and learn, and so she was on it. So I must try to reach her and see if there's anything.
Getting back to your method, you said you're from the method school of acting.
Well, I don't like calling it anything, but.
Well, you taught, and of
I
course,
said.
yeah, and I know you end up probably coming up with your own teaching
Yeah,
skills.
well, I try to tell teachers today to come up with you've taken bits and pieces from all
Right.
these teachers. They all have a different viewpoint of how to go at getting the performance. But basically, it's all from Stanislavski.
Right. So my question is, you started out doing some really big films, and you're new to doing films, and then you get a lot of TV. Now, do you, when you're utilizing what you've learned in your method acting, it's always bought you are in a constant state of modifying, and is there a big modification from like doing it on the big screen, and you have to wait until they get all
You
set?
have more time
More
on the
time.
big screen.
And then the TV, you're always in a hurry.
You're always right.
So are you constantly like changing gears?
You just do it automatically. You take each film and you take the script and you look at it and you try to understand what's understandable to me, what's useful to me, what do I get on the first reading. And then I try to just integrate it and say, I've got to work, I've got to learn these lines. I mean, I was on a show, Dangerous, The Haunted, with Dame Judith Anderson
Yeah.
and Marty Landau, which they called something else.
Yeah, in fact, it was a TV, was it the thing
It was
that,
a 90-minute.
no, it was supposed to be a TV movie and it turned out to be put in theater or vice versa?
Yes, I think so. It's called something,
Yeah, it's,
a Spanish.
Ronnie, you should know that. The video, they did an article on it. I even bought a copy of it. I didn't even
I
remember.
got somebody sent it to me,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
It's
It's,
the one where you played Rain.
The Rain War and it was really
was
nice.
Leslie Stevens involved with that? Was Leslie Stevens involved with that?
I don't think so. I know it was for CBS, because
Yeah.
they sent new a whole new monologue.
But there has a different title, but anyway, what you
Yeah,
were
it had a
saying.
different title. Martin Landau was the lead. And,
I probably got it here.
Lauren Warren?
and you know.
Oh, is it the Ghost of Sierra?
Yes,
Cobra?
yes.
Oh,
that was earlier.
It feels so much like it feels very much like an Outer Limits.
Yes, that's
episode.
why I said,
Yes,
that's why I mentioned
yes,
Leslie
yes.
It
Stevens.
was
yeah.
fascinating to me to see again because I thought it was quite interesting the way, but in any case, they just sent me new lines at midnight, at dinner time, and said, learn them and we have to shoot it. And here was Dame Judith Anderson from Australia, was like Mrs. Danvers in Rebecca, the ghost, or somebody manipulating behind the scenes. She said, I'll cue you to help you learn to get it through the dinner break. So she's sitting on the steps of my dressing room. I'm seated in my makeup chair in the room, and she's feeding me lines for about an
Oh,
hour
that's great.
to help me get it.
So, yeah,
So
you just
take
do,
it.
yeah, and you don't know what you're getting
You
into
don't
each
know
time.
what you're
And
getting
I always was curious how you ebb and flow with different directors and their styles.
You have to.
Yeah, yeah. It
There's
must
good
be.
directors, there's not so good directors.
Yeah, so. A couple films I want to ask you about that I watched recently. I think were a real treat. It was really fun to finally watch them. One with Gregory Peck, Garage.
Yes.
What was that? Any good interesting stories on working with
No,
that?
just stories as he's a wonderful person.
Yeah.
And I got to know him, and I sold the miniseries to NBC, I think it was. I had 3 writers write it, and the last was Robert Anderson, who wrote the 4-hour version. It was called The Brownsville Raid, about the black soldiers in Texas, Brownsville, Texas, who were dishonorably discharged by Roosevelt.
Okay, right.
And so there's a great senator, Foraker, in the book when he went to trial to support the boys. Dorsey Willis was the last remaining black soldier that lived. But because they were dishonorably discharged, they never got careers. They never had lives in this country. And Dorsey worked as a shoeshine boy in a Minneapolis bank.
Wow.
And he was offered after the Watergate hearings happened. And across the hall, if you followed the cables, was Hubert Humphrey offering Dorsey Willis about $25,000 or $50,000 as repatriation for his whole life for that horrible discharge, that he never could make a living. And I start with that and I end with that. And I had 3 different writers on it wanting to get it right, and it was never made. And I had Peck. I called him and said, I have the perfect part for you that you will have to do. And his wife was wonderful. Every time I'd see her, she said, how's the project going? I said, we're on a new writer now. I hope to God, you're the producer, you're gonna make this happen. And Gregory was ready to do that part.
Oh, wow. What year was this about, you think?
It was in the 80s.
In the 80s.
And it was around the time we were doing the Civil War thing, where he played Lincoln.
Oh,
So,
And we were all
Oh, I
together
think that
at
was
that
the
event. We were in
third
Washington together, meeting the Bushes, the Father Bush, who was president at the time, and Mrs. Bush.
Well, it's an interesting film, and I think it's interesting. I don't mean to harp on method, but Gregory seemed to be loosened up a little bit in this film. There was a couple of scenes where he tears the room up after he discovers Walter
Yeah, so he
Matthau.
pushes. This is another moment where we didn't rehearse the scene where he has to pull me in, and all he said, we decided, is you fight me, and do not want to go into that room, and I will do
I know that
work
scene
like
somewhere.
hell to get you to see that dead man.
Yeah.
And I just fought like hell. He had to lift me up and push me. I kept fighting and fighting, and finally he gets me in the door and just takes my face and pushes it around and makes me stare at that dead body.
Yeah.
I remember that. I remember that.
So I said, Greg, you do it. I'm not afraid.
Yeah.
And he says, no, I want you to fight.
No, I was really intrigued. I was really impressed by his performance in that one particularly, because you are, as a just audience members, you know, you always think of Gregory Peck just as, you know, pillar of a man and very.
Like Mockingbird.
Yeah, exactly. And then to see him, there's like in one scene, he just actually just stops and just kind of thinks. And it's a real quiet scene after he discovers mouth out. And I was like, wow, I've never.
And Matthau steals the movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Of course. And the other one I watched, and I thought, Diane, you did an amazing job. There's one sequence I would love, that would be on, I think, your clip reel of the highlights of your career, is The Prize with Paul Newman. There's that sequence where you have to take him back to the hotel. And that was just so fun. Did you have fun doing that?
Sure. I had fun with Paul Newman. He was such fun to work with. He had ideas for every scene. He had 15 ideas. And I'd say, which one are you going to pick? Because I said, decide. He said, let's try this. Let's try this. Well, if I come and you do this, he's the one that got me to do my hand on my waist.
Okay.
And I'm walking out making that move, standing, looking down on him. He got that idea and thought I should try it.
The scene is he's in a bar and he's trying to like make moves and he's a little tipsy. I'm pretty sure he's.
And I said, Greta Garbo.
Right, and she comes in and she starts. You do your little flotation thing and you get him. But your whole point was to get him back to the hotel and get him in. And it's just an amazing scene of acting and the chemistry between you and Paul. I thought was great there.
Well, we had great chemistry because I knew them since I started, and I adored Paul and Joanne. They were so helpful, kind to me, and they didn't need to be. I was just a kid starting, but they were so good to me and nice. And I remember my friend Boris Hussain is a director from India who lived in London. His mother brought them after partition, when Pakistan was, when they separated, and she brought her kids to London to raise them because they were Muslim. And they weren't practicing, they weren't religious at all, they were just intelligent, brilliant people. And that was, she knew she couldn't raise them properly in Lucknow. So they got to London and she raised them, and Waris was directing, and Joanne got wind that he was so good because he directed Anne Margaret, he directed so many wonderful actors.
Wow.
In great shows.
Uh-huh.
Films in America and in television here, or in LA, and she wanted to meet him, so I got them to come over to my apartment in Beverly Hills and meet together, and it never worked out that he ended up directing her in this movie, but they had a ball. They had just done Children in Paradise,
Oh, okay.
the feature of seeing them, and they just all got along. So for me, it was like I wanted to bring these people together, because they were artists. And
Well, I mean, it sounds like you get that just naturally growing up with the Douglases being so
Yeah.
embracing.
Oh, yeah.
Because I love that story you told about how Melvin set you down and how to
Heart to Heart.
interact with Joan
Yeah.
Crawford. You were doing Straight Jacket. I don't mean, I have so many questions I could keep going, but if anybody has a question, I know you have many questions.
Yes.
If anybody has questions, please raise your hand.
Yeah, I have.
Let's let Rodney go.
It's really broad question, and it's just because of the film itself. You were in The Horse in the Gray Flannel Suit, which is without a doubt one of the greatest titles of all time. But any memories of that film? I mean, it came at a time in your career when you were, I mean, not that you weren't constantly working, but it seems as if it could be one that could have slid between the cracks as far as just going from job to job to job. But I mean, what was the production on that one?
No, it was just a fun set. I mean, all sorts of wonderful character actors. It wasn't Lorene Tuttle in it, and all these lovely people all showed up. They had small parts, and the same came with Straight Jacket. All these smaller parts were played by all these talented people, Leif Erikson and so many, working actors in the industry that no one gets the attention. They don't get the attention. I always maintain that it's the supporting actors that really make a movie. If you're lucky enough to get the great actress who's now, Christy Putnam down in Texas, is writing a book about Thelma Ritter. And I talk to her once a month, and I push her. I say, when is the book ready? When are you sending me the first draft? She just said it, just 4 days ago. I just finished the first, I've sent it to the readers. I said, Christy, will it be ready for the next TCM festival? I don't think the publisher can get it out. I said, you worked so hard all year, but that woman, I just introduced Rear Window at the DGA and for
Chris
Packed House, and sat there again watching. And I said, what genius. Brilliant acting
I love her in that,
with Jimmy Stewart.
yeah, I love her in that Sam Fuller. film.
And the Raymond Burr doesn't say 2 words in the film.
But this is a woman who managed to make a career, or to start a career, by saying the line, "Mama wants to thank Santa Claus too." Oh, I mean,
You really are.
Oh, she's so good. I mean, once she did that, it's like, okay, we're gonna have to look for other parts for this.
Well, you've got many movies you can look up to see her work.
This is a hard question for me to ask. I want to pivot back to what you were saying earlier. You mentioned something about wanting to write a story about 2 or 3 black soldiers in the Civil War that were dishonorably
It
discharged.
wasn't civil,
Oh,
the 1900s.
the 1900s. I'm sorry, I missed that part. Anyway, doing some research with you or just looking back to your prior interviews and stuff, I noticed you are very progressive in that time, and you still have that progressive twang in you. But by progressive, I mean like wanting to venture out of America into other worldly cultures that are not unlike yours. I don't want to say it.
That are unlike.
Yeah, I don't want to say it, but I think looking in this room right here, I'm kind of a fish out of water in more than one way.
I don't think so. I
Well-
just think your intelligence and your unique personality
Yeah.
is unique, and that puts you on a
Yeah.
certain level.
I don't think
And
You
you
are
certainly
very
share the
enthusiastic.
interest.
You have a very, you have an articulate, organized mind, and you know exactly what you want to say, and you say it very well.
And I'm trying not to
And
say
I
the
think it's
obvious.
great.
I'm trying not to say the obvious, but I don't know if I should say or not, but
Hey, anything.
I'm the only black person in here. And I noticed pictures of you. I remember one picture of you in the '60s taking autographs of an all black audience in Los Angeles somewhere, and you going to India and you getting passionate about not wanting to wear blackface. Is that progressive in you, which is still admirable today, given today's climate? Was that something natural that came out of you? Was that something with how the world was then that you wanted to try to advocate yourself into being a vocal spokesperson for the unknown that America doesn't want or know of, to speak of, like you traveling the world? And I guess the last thing I want to say with that is, of all the people I just felt more welcome with you, because I knew there was something in you that was very different from other people. You are very heartwarming and welcoming of other cultures and other people, even if they don't know it themselves. So I kind of think, I don't know if you're still politically active or spoken out about what's happening now, or at the very least, again, does all that just come naturally to you instead of just wanting to be someone higher than thou? So I think I do appreciate
You know, it's a hard
that.
question to answer in a way, because I'm not looking back at myself. I know that it goes out of me rather than I look at.
Like me.
Melvin taught me not to watch yourself too much, to
Really?
take yourself too seriously.
Interesting.
Just to live it and let it leave you, and then you've done it. People talk too much.
Yeah, I know.
And I don't mean that I talk too much about, but they talk too much about what people should do,
Yes.
how we should live, how we should do, what politics, this, that. Everybody talks. And I found that if you proselytize too much about an issue, people follow you. I don't want followers. I don't want people following around and saying, you made this statement and now you've changed your mind. Well, I want the right to make my own mind on.
Yes.
And I don't want to be pigeonholed into an area that says, she said this, she's this, she believes this. I believe in being kind to each other. We all get angry at times and we throw our weight around and we push our way through. We make mistakes. So to answer that, I grew up with the Douglases. I learned how to, that's how Helen was, that's how Melvin was. I mean, I went to Spain to stay with them when they lived in a Spanish place. They rented a house every summer. I went there visiting. How they treated other people, I understood. You don't look, people, and when they have a heart beating and they have a soul and they have a mind, they're a human being. They deserve the right to be and to make it work. And the best you can do is be an example, rather than try to tell people what to do. If you sit there all day long and tell them, this is what you should do, this is how you should be, this is what we expect of you, blah, 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 blah. But if you walk the walk, then you just are, and let someone pick it up. If they pick it up, great. If they don't, they don't.
So that's just my question. This all comes naturally
Yeah.
with your personality. So thank you for making me feel very welcome.
And
And
she had some,
Definitely.
the Douglases, and she had some pretty good
I had the
guidance,
people
good
around me. I
guidance.
had the wonderful people around
It
me.
always helps to have good inspiration.
I turn to people to be inspired. I look to them.
I am inspired. Well, I'm definitely inspired to say
The
that.
Newmans, for goodness sake, I mean.
Oh, the Newmans, he couldn't have better. Paul in his dressing room he was very politically active.
He walked the walk, yeah.
Okay, I was not at yesterday's panel, I wasn't included. So if this question has already been answered, I apologize. But you were mentioning character actors a little bit ago. What was Joseph Schildkraut like to work with?
Well, Millie Perkins should tell you all about Schildkraut. He was very European, but very, and a bit full of himself, to be honest.
Okay.
And a bit stiff, and very old school European of the Germanic style. So I'm thinking the early days he probably grew up more in the style of Salzburg, which was the words and say them properly with the right inflection. But he was a human being too. And he was wonderful as a father in the scenes and working. But I'll tell you a quick story because Millie tells it and she's hysterical. When they had a scene together and she's in the scene and there's a two-shot of him. And when it came to his close-up, he kept his hand on her head and kept her down for the whole scene. And she couldn't move. He didn't want her popping up into the scene in his own, when he had his moment.
Oh,
So he kept
oh dear.
his hand on her head and she said she tried to wiggle out of it but couldn't move. She said it was an awful moment in her. But he was, the family was, I can't say anymore because they were wonderful. The mother, Christine, all from different parts of the world and different backgrounds. When you have Ed Wynn, who was just a darling man
Oh, yeah.
and fun to be with, funny, and they were all great. They were a great group of people.
What was it like, I mean, just to be, your first feature and with this group of actors, and I'm sure you were very aware of them growing up, Douglas and everybody else, and George Stevens directing.
Great man.
Was it, were you like overwhelmed, or you just, I'm just
No,
working?
I was
or-
accepted. I was accepted as, from Mr. Frank, who saw me before while we were shooting the test. He said, "You remind me of my daughter." And it was a great moment. I really was touched. And then the dinner we had at a house with the writers, the Ravage, he and his wife who wrote the screenplay. We sat, Millie and Mr. Frank and myself. sat while the sun was going down over the hills in Hollywood. And we looked out and it got darker and nobody put the light on and it was getting that wonderful, before dark, sunlight was still kind of coming in the window. And we were just talking and holding hands. And that started the project. That was the first before we started filming. And then every day was a day.
Blessings,
it was just great. We were all on that set. My boyfriend at the time was from Oxy, and we were in high school together. He had gone on the trip with Sterling Hayden on the one to Tahiti.
Uh-oh.
He asked his uncle who was running Occidental if he could go. And,
But he has stories.
And he said, Diane, I'm going to be a crew member. I went to meet Sterling and he's picked me. And I said, Dan, you have to go. I said, this is fantastic. And I'm in the diary filming. And so he's gone almost a year, and his uncle made him promise to finish college. And he did, thank God. But he came back, and I'm still shooting. And he came on the set, and I'm in black with the stockings and the no makeup. He comes to the set, and he hands me a little gift. I open it in front of our actors, and it's a teeny bikini. It's this big. And I opened it, and I was so embarrassed and so shocked, because here I've been in the diary, in hiding, in this clothes, and he's been in Tahiti, and it was suddenly overwhelming, the thought that he'd been in a totally opposite life for 1 year, and I'm on the set, working on the...
His mind was in a very different place.
His was in a different place.
I see you.
And it was interesting for him, because it was like, oh my God, Diane, you've been doing this wonderful thing. But he and I are so in sync.
I see an empty chair up
It's
there
very
with an empty microphone in there and 5 minutes left. This is I see an empty chair up there with an empty microphone and 5 minutes left. Can I just walk up there and sit there?
Diane, would you like that? Would that be okay with you? He wants to sit up here with us.
Of course, if you don't mind.
While he's coming up there, out of all the television work, when you segue into producing,
Aaron, nice to meet you.
This is as close to an American I've ever been that looks and reminds me of Mahatma Gandhi. Why is that? Why is that?
I
There's
don't,
something about you.
Peace and love.
I
explain
can't
this.
answer that either.
And he was having a good time last night. I saw you dancing.
But I made a documentary
That's
called Ashiana in '71 with my friend from India and London, and we did it with no dialogue, and we have Gandhi, a man looks like Gandhi, walking through the thing, and we concentrated on the beginning of democracy, ending of feudalism, and the beginning of democracy. And we just followed this man on the street walking with his wife, and he just walked through the crowd, and he was just a normal Indian while we were filming. And we don't say a word, but it was like, that stayed with me all these years. That person who just walked and made peace, tried to make peace with the world, tried to stand up to feudalism. It's just an amazing. And then my meeting Mother Teresa in Bombay was another experience.
I don't know. I think many Indians believe in reincarnation or such. You said there's something special about me. I don't know. I'm still trying to find myself after 27 years of
Maybe you should
being in the world.
become a moderator.
Maybe.
Exactly.
I would love that. I don't know how to do that, but I would love that.
Well, I mean,
You're doing it
should
now.
Anthony will, and let Anthony know about it. That you're available.
That sounds like a plan.
Okay.
So I would think maybe what you're telling about me being related to, you said I was related to Muhammad.
No, there's something about you.
The spirit.
It reminds
your
me of a
lungs.
natural, I don't know, I just can't.
Perhaps someone from India that was inspired by you reincarnate themselves into me to have that spirit in me for a little bit. Or, even better, maybe it's just me being my own self, and I've been kind of sheltered my life, and I just didn't know how to express myself or how would people like me or not. But I guess what I learned in 27 years is that just be you. If people like it, great. If people don't, then that's on them. That's their loss. And I
I'll
think
save you time. You're an old soul with no boundaries.
There's something,
That'll cover
I
it.
don't know how to explain it.
write a book
But
about it.
I'm sure all of you know what I'm talking about.
Okay, I'll let you ask a question. Ask her about how she got into producing.
Oh, yes. I remember you were a teacher, a professor, and then you got into producing.
No, I wasn't a professor. That just happened a few years ago. 14 years ago, I was called by my friend who took a job up in Northern California at the Academy of Art University, and the president was looking for someone to start, build the acting program. And Mary Scott, her husband had been my best friend and he died of Alzheimer's, and she took this job up there in graphic design. And the president said, I'm looking for some. She said, my friend is an actress in Hollywood. And she brought my name up, and the woman, this daughter of the president, who was the father, had started the school years ago, became a huge university up there. Right down in the middle of San Francisco, right down Market Street, near near everything in the center. So, anyway, flew up and met the whole family and met the department, and they asked me if I would join and start the school. So I thought about it for a month. Robert Osborne, my dear friend, I called and said, Bob, what do I do?
Was that ever in your thoughts at all
but
being a teacher?
I said, it's something that is important that I can do that I never got to really have.
Right.
I
Yeah,
wanted
good
to
point.
share this side of myself, but never got the chance because I was sort of catapulted into acting. So I decided that Father took me around to all the various buildings. I walked onto the stage. I said, my God, I said, do you think I could create courses and classes? He said, you can do anything you want to do here. We give you permission. You do what you feel is necessary to put us on the map.
Nice.
So I thought, I get to start Shakespeare, I can do classes in speech, I can do improvisation, I can put everything on this. So I took it and I stayed 15 years. And I flew up every Friday night home to LA with that bag right here. And they gave me a penthouse. And they built, over the 14 years, 3 sound stages down on Townsend near the field and the station. And I asked for everything. They made it happen. I brought 12 people from Hollywood to teach.
Oh, wow.
I offered doctorates to every single person, including Phil Kaufman, Mike Meadowboy, Ann V. Coates. I brought them all up, and the president of the group saw what my vision was, and we gave them, Dee Dee Allen and her husband wanted a special hotel. I made sure they got that hotel, where they were married in.
Well, I see you.
And they had, so I got doctorates to every,
And you stayed in
Louis
touch.
Fraker, the cameraman, came.
Louis Fraker.
I mean, there isn't one person that I've worked closely with that I didn't get to bring. And even Marie Saint, Jeffrey Aiden, her husband. Roger Corman came and accepted his award. I asked Coppola if he would give out the award too. He didn't do it.
Oh.
And I thought, why? Why did he not come out and?
Do you give the answer?
Nobody knows why.
Interesting.
Anyway,
Guess we have to ask him.
Too busy making wine.
so.
And I guess you kept a lot of course, as this goes along a lot, you kept contact with a lot of these people have continued, like, you did that movie with Clyde Owen, that Phil Kaufman track, that you played Nicole's mother.
I
right?
played Nicole's mother only because I was there, and Phil called me and said, come over, would you do one day
Right.
as the mother? And I had a ball.
Yeah.
And Nicole couldn't have been nicer. In fact, I had optioned the Beryl Markham book, West with the Night,
Oh, really?
that Hemingway talked about. I had it for several years. I had,
Of course, you had Hemingway connections all the way back to your
no, and I
earlier
had a
film.
British writer write the script,
Yeah.
and I gave it to Mike. He said, you need work on this, and I wanted it to be made. I wanted to make that, and I thought, wow, Nicole would be perfect to play the tall Beryl Markham who landed in New York City with Mayor LaGuardia,
All right.
greeting her when she was going east to west,
Okay.
and landed up in,
LaGuardia Airport.
up above. It was out of New York City,
Uh-huh.
either New York City or Canada.
Do you have your own agent, or do you just
No,
kind
I
of
don't have an
write what
agent.
yourself?
I sort of stopped, and there's no point.
Well, we're technically out of time. Anybody have one, just Diane ask a question before we wrap up?
You're right, Sarah. And
I probably missed this, but I'm gonna ask because I'm really, really curious. What was it like to work with Sean Connery? Is he formal or?
He was formal, but he's a wonderful actor. By God, he's wonderful. I liked him. I didn't really work too much with him in the film. I did enough, but there was usually a group. So I can't really answer. It's not like working with Gregory Peck. But he's a brilliant actor and wonderful, and I did call on him when I was at the Academy of Art University and asked him to come and receive it. He couldn't make it, but he was so kind that all of my professors and everyone came rushing around in my office when he left the long message on my phone. I think I tried to keep it.
Yeah.
Because they all, and the imitation, I have professors who try to imitate that voice of his, the Scottish.
I know how you can keep voicemails on your phone. Anyway, I guess.
Wait. Make sure Diane's.
No, it's just that he was really charming, a very nice man to work with, but I don't have that many stories to tell.
And our special moderator is going to wrap up the.
And you wrap it up?
Yes, definitely. I don't know how to do so, but Diane Baker, this has been a great honor to be here, not just as an attendee, not just as an audience member, but now as a moderator as well. So this was a wonderful panel, and I can say with the utmost respect, you still got it, and I can't wait to see what you have next going on. So I guess. Oh yeah, let's give Diane Baker a round of applause here.